It was everyone's worst nightmare. You have one main first-choice right-back and he gets injured in the last friendly before the season starts. There was an initial scare after a tough challenge on Kieran Trippier that had everyone holding the breath in the stadium, but that seemed to be overcome and the right-back trudged on and everyone was able to exhale. Then it happened again, and this time Trippier stayed down, signaling to the bench that he needed to be substituted. Kyle Walker-Peters took his place and put in a solid performance, but anybody expecting the 20-year-old to make his Spurs debut at Newcastle in the Premier League next Sunday was left sorely mistaken. Pochettino has been taking this summer to analyze the young U20 World Cup winner to see whether he was at the right stage in his development to step up. When I asked him what had decided after the Juventus game, he didn't beat around the bush. Mauricio Pochettino does not think Kyle Walker-Peters is ready. He's very young. It's true that to think and to give the big responsibility like Kieran, it's too much today for him, he admitted. He's a player that needs to work with us and maybe start to play in different games, but we cannot think that, in the case of Kieran weeks away from the team, only he can replace him. I think we are working towards transfers, but we were working before that happened and try to find the solutions in different positions on the pitch. Trippier's twisted ankle does not sound like it will be too serious, but it seems likely that Eric Dier will step in at right back at Newcastle and Pochettino is looking to the transfer market for another right back. Harry Kane celebrates his goal. Just imagine if Harry Kane hits the ground running this season. The thing that has been so impressive about Harry Kane's goal tallies in recent seasons is that he's begun all three campaigns slowly. Could this be the year where he reaches another level by hitting the net from the very beginning? He had no international tournament to get in the way this summer and he's been able to get a decent rest. Kane only played the final friendly last season against Inter Milan, but this year he was an ever-present in the build-up to the season and scored in 3 of the 4 friendlies. The goal against Juventus showed that the England striker's timing, movement and finishing are sharp and ready to go. If he can steer clear of injuries this season, then Kane might just challenge Clive Allen's record tally for a season at Spurs. The scene moments before the teams walked out, the absent fans missed a good game, but they were right to stay away. Just 26,251 spectators turned up at Wembley to watch Spurs take on Juventus. They missed a decent performance from the team, but they were completely right to stay away in the droves. That number of fans dotted around the lower sections of the 90,000-capacity National Stadium looked ridiculous. Less people than go to a playoff match in the La Ligas, and early on it almost felt like an open training session with so many empty seats. The reason for the low numbers was clear. Relevant Sports, the hosts of the day, had invited Spurs and Juventus to play and then set prices at daft levels, akin to a Premier League match of many clubs. Why buy a ticket for a friendly when you could watch a Premier League game instead? The cheapest seats were £24, and then the prices quickly shot up until they reached triple figures for some of the top seats. People just don't expect that for a friendly match. Spurs' last home pre-season friendly, against Schalke 3 years at White Hart Lane, boasted family tickets for £20. This was a money-making exercise for the promoters. The clubs did not set the prices and the attendance would have been an embarrassment for them, and hopefully a lesson learned at a time when football is becoming more of a money pit than it ever was. Christian Eriksen celebrates with Harry Kane, Dele Alli and Moussa Sissoko. Who was that new bloke Moussa Sissoko? After a summer spent expecting Moussa Sissoko to leave the club, and a week where quotes from Turkey suggested he was on his way, it was entirely typical that the Frenchman would put in a performance that was actually excellent. Spurs' Achilles heel in their attacking play is a lack of pace, even more so in the channels with Danny Rose injured and Kyle Walker now wearing Manchester blue. So Sissoko showed exactly what he can bring to the party if he's on his game. Juventus, with all the defensive ability, were caught out time after time by him breaking through the ranks. He still showed those rusty, ball-off-the-shin moments that Help's capable of, but much of his play was neat and tidy and he looked to make things happen. His curling shot in the first half was excellent and deserved more than the ball bouncing off the inside of the post to safety. Sissoko may still leave during this transfer window if the right offer comes in, but he reminded a lot of people that while he's not perfect, he isn't a complete disaster by any stretch of the imagination. Tottenham Hotspur fans enjoy the pre-match atmosphere at Wembley. Getting used to the Wembley way. Much has been made about Spurs' struggles last season at the National Stadium, but if you analyse the performances, they've actually been getting better and better in each game, culminating in this display. They were poor against Monaco and Bayer Leverkusen in the Champions League, but improved against CSKA Moscow and did everything they could with 10 men against Gent. The result in the FA Cup semi-final went against them, but they played well for long periods and ultimately it was Chelsea's bench that turned the game. Against Juventus, the Serie A champions, Spurs were excellent. The passing was crisp and clever and they created plenty of chances, Kane hitting the woodwork as well as Sissoko, and the England striker should have scored another after a Buffon blooper. The Italian side may be at a different stage in the pre-season fitness, but manager Massimiliano Allegri admitted after the game that Tottenham are an excellent side and worthy winners. More importantly, they looked at home. That was most people's great fear about Spurs this season after such an amazing final campaign at White Hart Lane. This performance will set up Pochettino's men nicely for a rematch against contest side this month, and they will be all the better for it.